TIS4 to really see whether they have what it takes to defeat Nova here. But that's too early to say. They need to overcome Boom Esports first. One game is all it needs for NONGSHIM REDFORCE to defeat Boom Esports. And 2 games is what Boom Esports needs to push it to an ultimate battle here. A lot of things are on the line right now. For Boom Esports, they are the final hopes of PKL, the final team coming in from the Philippines region, remaining in this tournament.
Exactly. I mean, we're getting into game number 5 as well, right? And this is the problem. It's like we are starting to see the hero pool start to dwindle a bit for some of the star players on both of these 2 teams, right? Obviously, like Carl's already used his Agudo and lost with it as well, which is a pretty troubling sign for the side of Boom Esports. And Danny has used quite a few of his favorite marksmen. I mean, the only one he really kind of was able to replenish that pool was when they got the win with the Marco Polo, right? So they still have the likes of the Magistrate if they really want to go for it. I believe he still has the Lung available as well. Whether NONGSHIM's going to ban it in this pick here, unfortunately, he no longer has the Lungs. So Danny has got to definitely kind of like reach in and maybe pull something out here.
Yeah, so based on the global ban picks thus far, he has used up the Direnje, Chicha, Marco Polo, and Arlie. The available ones potentially might be only the Chano and Erwin that is up for grabs coming in for the side of Boom Esports, and you can see the priority coming in for NONGSHIM. It's no longer to realistically take any strong blue side picks, but to take away what Boom Esports wants to play in that mid lane pool.
Ooh, okay. The Smith and Blade. Ganamo being first picked here. I feel like this is the first time it's ever been prioed here for the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. So I feel like they're definitely already starting to show a little bit of an identity that needs to form here for the side of NONGSHIM. It needs to be a solid front line for you to either set up those couple blades or at least create the distance needed here for illusion on the Ganamo.
Yeah, potentially something like a Diadia or Mozi to realistically set up the freshly forged coming in from Illusion, or like the front line that you talk about, which is Earthshaker, Liam Poe here. As long as they have vision, as long as they have the bush control, it looks pretty okay for NONGSHIM REDFORCE to draft aggressively with the Liam Poe and Arlie setup.
Oh yes, Arlie coming through here for Siri, one of his prize picks as well within obviously the major East League that we known it as last year. Definitely had some stellar performances on this hero. Is it going to live up to Danny's performance that we saw from Boom Esports? Or more importantly, will Boom Esports draft something like the Xiao Xiao to be the counter here for the Arlie this time around?
I think they definitely have to, right? Given if there is still the opportunity to draft it coming in towards the second half of the pick and bans. I do believe that NONGSHIM REDFORCE, with how much priority they give over to the side of Siri in the draft, we might see Xiao Xiao and relevant picks being removed away from the pool that could really give pressure for Siri in those team fights.
Yeah, pressure for Siri in the team fights. We need something a little bit more of... I feel like Liam Poe as the only front line here is probably not going to be enough to create space here for the likes of Illusion here. But, oh, okay. We're going to go for the Mastermind Kong Ming here for the side of Boom Esports. I mean, this could still be flexed either mid or into the jungle, right? So I feel like it's definitely a little bit of a teaser to find out what they're going to go for here on the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. And it looks like one of the underdog picks here, the White Anchor, Ata, being picked up here.
And to add it off towards this list for NONGSHIM REDFORCE, Haku once again showing off how different and vast his hero pool is by hovering and soon to be locking in that Starblade in the jungle here. And this goes back to the suggestion that you made just now. They can't really single-handedly rely on Namu being the sole frontline, hence you see the White Anchor Ata being locked in as well for Ratel, pushing out the vision, making sure that everybody gets a piece of information, knowing where is the Martial Monk coming in from Miggy, knowing where is the potential assassin that's going to be drafted by Carl that is coming up in this last pick.
Ooh, okay, the Broken Mirage coming through here. So it is going to be a little bit of a carry-centric into the mid lane here. Do you think Tatsuri is up to the job? I mean, playing something like the Kong Ming is very sort of similar to how you play Mai Shirunui, the Fire Ninja. You need to be a carry for your team. And unfortunately for Boom, when they did pick up the Mai Shirunui, there was no carry in sight there for them.
I think this is a playstyle that Tatsuri really enjoys, right? Whereby he is known as the Filipino Wendy coming in for the side of Boom Esports, which their hero pool is very similar. So I do think that after playing a pretty decent game of Yixing, he's awarding himself and the entirety of the Boom Esports is prioritizing the carry potential into the hands of Tatsuri. But my worry is for instead of Boom Esports, those are a lot of carries to be sharing finite resources, which is gold in Hero's Gorge. So how do you realistically funnel your gold into? Is it going to be Carl? Is it going to be Tatsuri, Zanny, or even Miggy? What's it going to be for Boom Esports?
Yeah, I feel like the identity here for this draft in game number 5 here for Boom Esports is very similar to what me and Isaac was talking about with the draft in game number 1 for them. Like obviously locking in the Hino into the mid lane. So once again, having finite resources, having to spread it far and thin, and ultimately was the downfall of their team, right? So they're trying to run this a second time around. Hopefully it's going to be enough for them. They do have Miggy on his prize pick, the Dharma coming through as well. So hopefully he can get some pickups into the back line and some surprises that's really going to overthrow these team fights into the favor of Boom Esports.
Yeah, the Clash lane's definitely going to play a pivotal role in looking for those big initiations, right? For the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE, the Ata in the hands of Ratel will be the primary and secondary frontline alongside Namu's Liempo in pushing the vision line, giving sufficient room for Seri, for Illusion, and Haku to do the DPS that they need to do in the map here. So maybe Miggy as a Clash link this game, we might see him go for the tank build onto his Dharma here. They definitely need to buy something like a Blazing Cape or Venomous Staff to limit healing coming in from the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE.
Exactly. I mean, the healing is pretty much, it's self-sufficient, right? It's no longer like a healing of all your teammates, because the heal's going to come from, obviously, Yao with his abilities, and then obviously Arthur as well with his sustain. So, like you said, they need to build anti-heal, but it's less about sort of like that crowd healing. It's more about kind of a single target trying to run down and burst down Yao and Arthur's potential of healing themselves.
Which is true, right? You really need to limit them as much as possible. Don't give them any sort of lead through itemization mistakes here, as we do see the early 2v2 towards the mid lane, giving priority over to the side of Illusion, giving him the early access towards the jungle.
Yeah, being able to clear out the mid wave a little bit faster here for the side of Tatsuri, but able to take away that Spiketail Beast, but also take a bit of a blade on the cheek there. Definitely showing that Illusion knows how to land those blades.
But so far, Tatsuri getting so much resources for the team, and towards the bottom side, we do see Seri successfully picking up that fire beat for the team as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just trading a little objectives here is definitely the aim of the game, right? And I mean, NONGSHIM, they can afford to lose this game, whereas Boom, however, cannot. So I feel like NONGSHIM are playing with a little bit more of a breeze between their knees, whereas Boom are facing against a rainy storm.
It's the difficulty that they are set in, right? If we look at it through like multiple best of ones, Boom Esports needs to climb 2 best of ones repeatedly to force it into ultimate battle. For NONGSHIM REDFORCE, they are playing the game in like a lower difficulty. They have more room of error compared to Boom Esports. Every single misplay that Boom does from here on out is gonna be added pressure into limiting their potential comeback.
Ooh, dive in at level 4 there. Trying to get the takedown of Illusion very early on, but actually casting out the ultimates of both Tatsuri as well as Carl there. And not getting a result is a little bit of a blunder here for Boom Esports, and maybe a sign of those mistakes that we were talking about moments ago.
Yeah, and this is very aggressive stuff coming in by Tatsuri and also Carl, forcing the flash away from Illusion. So for the next 2 minutes, or 90 seconds at the very least, Illusion will be a juicy piece of steak that Tatsuri and Carl would love to be getting their hands onto.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he can only kind of gather and create as much distance there with the guard, her grave, but we can see here that Ratel's having like the time of his life here. There's just not enough damage coming from Migi just yet to get the rundown onto Ratel.
Yeah, Ratel is super duper tanky here. That's the perks of having a battle tank like Ata Baishi in towards the Clash lane. You have so much laning prowess coming in from this one pick, and towards the mid game, you can start giving resources to the team and funneling more resources into jungle assassin carries like Haku or late-game carries like Siri or Illusion.
Oh, okay. Just doing a bit of a chip damage there, getting a bit of a knock-up there for the couple blades, but quite missing out there. Expecting Miggy to be in one space. I feel like that was probably a predestined decision that shouldn't have been made there, but it's going to be the Ghost Ship that forces away Tatsuri. He does get the ultimate battle, the ultimate finisher there from the Kong Ming, but it's not going to be enough damage just yet.
Ooh, and that was a very aggressive play coming in for Ratel here. Utilizing the S1 flash to gap post against Tatsuri and pulling him back with the enhanced basic attack coming in from Atar's spell 2. And then it forces a 1-for-1 flash exchange, Ratel and Tatsuri here. So both of these spells, in terms of the common spell flash, wouldn't be available coming in for this specific Tyrant fight here. In the very least, this early game is looking pretty stable coming in for both teams. None of the both sides are actually giving an ounce for either of their teammates.
Yeah, nothing's really shifting here just yet. Maybe it could be it's notice, right? Because obviously the neutral objectives are online in around about 4 seconds, so this is probably where we're going to see a bit of a shift of focus here for both of these two teams. Tatsuri being found out into that brush there. Namu gets the knock with the burst ram as well, but also just not having to force the flash, but using that second skill just to get out there alive means that Tatsuri is going to be able to reform and go into the potential team fight here, but maybe not the same being said here for Miggy. He's getting hit with those couple blades and forced a retreat here.
That was a full freshly forged being jabbed into Miggy's face there. If Miggy went for the traditional build, that could have been an easy pickup coming in for the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE here. And we do see both roamers here getting the vision for this specific river. None of the both teams want to relinquish control over this Tyrant as of this point.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Boom needs to kind of like make sure they gain that Azure Golem, right? Because I mean, if they lost the Tyrant fight and then lose the Jing, that could just mean that Haku gets the Tyrant, gets an Azure Golem, and then goes for his own. And then really, that would be a trouble city for Carl.
Yeah, it could be trouble city because when we talk about like having double jungle assassins, you really need them to pocket the most gold in the game. If they somehow become like second in gold, third in gold, you know for a fact that the jungle assassin doesn't come into fruition in terms of damage, in terms of like being tanky, if they really do go for those tankier builds like we seen from the Jing, right? We saw like what? The Frostguard Embrace, the Blazing Cave, all these are potential items if you want to play the semi-jungle assassin style, which needs one thing, gold, very important.
Yeah, gold is definitely the thing that makes everything go around here on the side of Honor of Kings in terms of getting itemization and in terms of getting that outplay of the enemy team as well. But Tyrant does go successfully over to the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. The gold lead, however, is definitely in the favor of Boom just for now. Tatsuri has to get out of that one. This is a bit of a sticky situation. Draw quite missing that ultimate there, which is going to be very impactful here. The winning strategy does come through, but gets blocked by Namu.
With Starfall here coming in from Haku is super duper aggressive here, baiting out so many of these key spells from the members of Boom Esports. Tatsuri wouldn't have flashed later on for the next upcoming 2 minutes. Draw missing that crucial Raging Sea. If he hits that, maybe we might see a potential come around from Miggy with a beautiful Truth Mantra here. And you can see the aggressive invade coming in for NONGSHIM REDFORCE. Beautiful Ghost Ship.
Yeah, Ghost Ship is completely to separate this team here apart, but now it's going to be obviously a bit of a dive in for the contention of that Azure Golem. It does go over to the side of Illusion as well, so that's going to starve the way the Azure Golem for Carl. But First Blood does go over to the side of Boom Esports. Winning strategy is not going to be winning and getting any kills just yet.
Yeah, 1 for 1. 1 for the Azure Golem, 1 kill all back towards Ratel here. And you can see the aggressive movements coming in for Boom Esports to retake control on towards this Azure Golem. Overall, a very good Boom Esports win in finding the overextension coming in from Ratel's Ata.
Yeah, exactly. A good pick off there. Really kind of like blunders the front line of NONGSHIM REDFORCE just for moments notice, but it does mean they could try and focus his top T1 here as well. But the minion just not looking healthy enough, but they do have a second wave coming through here as well. Haku, top side of the map, just really needs to mitigate any kind of push or pressure being mounted here by the side of Boom Esports.
And take a look over to the side of the gold ranking thus far. We did talk about, hey, if you play a jungle assassin, you need to be top gold and top net worth, which is what Carl is doing so right now. And we can see top 4 in terms of gold, all members of the side of Boom Esports with a pinch of Siri at the top. So it's really good news. At the very least, out of these 4 games, this is the first time that we've seen Boom Esports control and pace themselves in the early to mid game.
Oh, exactly. And they've got the draft that they need to, right? Like, if they weren't doing this at this moment in time, I pretty much think it's a good night Irene here for the side of Boom Esports, right? Like, they would have no gold lead. It'd be very difficult for Carl to pull off such great kills, as well as Tatsuri as well. Because we're talking about that finite resource, right? And Danny seems to be very underwhelming so far. So I feel like he's taken a little bit of a hit when it comes to that resource share.
Face checking in towards Tatsuri. The beautiful Ghost Ship!
Oh, beautiful Ghost Ship meant that Tatsuri had no return, and Illusion had two couple blades with his name on it. So that's going to be the kill going over to the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. But not only that, they're able to procure the Overlord as well.
I would say that Rattel on this Ata, he's been playing hyper aggressively, and the Ghost Ships has been really on point in giving them the lead that they are actually looking for. You can see, the moment they get the kill onto Tatsuri, all the vision line coming in from NONGSHIM immediately pushes into the base, into the Crimson Golem area for the side of Boom Esports.
Yeah, he's definitely be able to be the focal point here and take a lot of the damage that can be consumed here by Boom Esports as well, taking those winning strategies to the chin, taking those Jings, damage reflection as well as potential coming from Danny also. But that's the problem. When they take at least one of those damage dealers down, it then falls to just like, where do we go from here? Where's the front line? Where's Miggy going to be going from? But Rattel definitely playing very well.
Yeah, he's scouting vision actively for the team, and look at how he's just being a pain in towards the side of Boom Esports, giving so much information required for Haku, Siri, and also Illusion to properly pace themselves here. He's actively always looking for the key few targets here. Where is Miggy? Where is Carl? Can Siri and Illusion play aggressive here? He controls the river and allows space for these two members to actively play aggressive for those turret takedowns, for those aggressive pokes to the Guardian mode.
Yeah, controls the river, controls the narrative here for the side of Boom Esports. Like, they can't make the plays that they want to play if they if Rattel on NONGSHIM REDFORCE here has the intel and has the know-how of where they're going to come from. And you can kind of see here that potentially Car's like giving up on these potential team fights into the mid lane and just looking to steal away some resources from the enemy team here as the Shadow Tyrant and Overlord do come onto the line here, but Namu does find that Carl.
Wow, that was 6 cents coming in from Namu to just clear up the vision, make sure that Siri, okay, don't check that bush first. We don't see Carl on towards the map. Let me clear it for you with the Radiance. It's like, okay, job's done. Let's pick up the Golem here, and then we pace ourselves to the next objective. Very well done by the Roamer.
Yeah, no one squishy enter that brush or you will not return out of that brush. Let me do my job. I am the tank and let me get that intel. There is the Wintel here. And speaking of win, it's going to be a pickup here for Siri. He gets a takedown of the Tatsuri. Maybe even help himself to that Crimson Golem, but it's all going to be down to Miggy and Raw here to stop any advances into the rest of the enemy jungle. He's able to get that Crimson Golem away from Carl.
Siri is just dancing on the gorge as of this point, singling out Tatsuri, kiting away from Carl, and right now, with that odd number fight, NONGSHIM REDFORCE picks up an easy Shadow Tyrant for the team.
Miggy having to use the dash over the wall there. Not quite the common skill, but just using the dash within his kit there. Obviously using Erin's ultimate just to push away the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE, but Carl trying to find a bit of a prowl here after taking Haku's Azure Golem, but Haku is looking to repay that favor in kind. It's 2 seconds onto the gorge here. It's now available, but can Danny face check that brush? And I feel like this, if he did decide to go for it, could have pretty much been all she wrote.
Yeah, it's a number advantage coming in for the side of Boom Esports here. Hence, Haku was like, hang on a moment. If I go here, I might be resulting our team into a deficit here. So immediately pulled back, and he allowed Siri on towards the cross map to gain more of the side lane control. And right now, with the mid tower being the next available target coming in for the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE, this might just be going down in the next few minion waves.
Yeah, a big fight maybe being ensuing here into the mid lane. You can see the Haku's looking for some kind of way in around that Azure Golem, but Miggy looks to go be the first spearhead into this one. But Rattel taking too much damage there. He's down to half a health bar, but same set to Miggy. Gets knocked up onto 2 into the wall, but it's going to take down of Rattel thanks to Carl. But can they actually get the takedown here onto Carl? But it's going to be the back line. It's going to be Haku. He's a little bit lost for words, but it's going to take down that T1, the irreparable damage onto the gorge of Boom Esports as Draw falls down.
Tatsuri though, finding the potential snipe on towards the targets coming in for side of Boom Esports. But all this is happening! That is a beautiful snipe. On point one coming in from Illusion here. Carl face checks in towards the Impole here. Doesn't get the kill, but still, throughout those trades, yes, Boom Esports gets the kills back into their pockets here. But NONGSHIM REDFORCE back-to-back mid turrets towards that mid side.
Yeah, they knew the ultimate sacrifice, right? They knew that if Ratel and Haku fell, and that meant that the distraction was there, it meant that T1 takedown and even the bonus of that T2 was available for Siri to take up, but it's also all the setup by that knock up there, but obviously the Mirror Mirage was just so good placed here for Carl, but it just wasn't enough. It was just playing into NONGSHIM's hand.
All the spells were invested in towards the Ratel Ata coming in from Miggy, coming in from Carl, Mirror Domain, Truth Mantra. And you can see, Siri was just comfortably doing DPS on towards the sideline with no one being able to give any form of like pressure or whatsoever on towards the farm lane player.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely being formed here onto the side of Boom, Danny, right? Like, obviously, not quite having the moment to shine here, but I feel like it just goes back to the point you were making within the draft, is the fact that there is 3 big powerhouses onto the side of Boom, and they don't know where to put these resources. And the resources that they've already put into the members, that it looks like it's Carl and Tatsuri, and Danny's kind of fall away at the wayside here, is being a little bit of the wrong decision so far, because NONGSHIM have free roam of their jungle.
Free roam the jungle, every resource is going in towards the pockets of Siri and also Illusion. And you can start to see the Overlords piling in towards that bottom side of the map. Once they finish up that bottom side of the map, they will reposition themselves in towards the bottom river and look to get that Shadow Tyrant here. Everything is lining up for NONGSHIM REDFORCE to take this series in this specific game right now, Brad.
Yeah, with the loss of their final T2 down to the bot side of the map here, Boom is definitely going to have to do some tending of the garden, or maybe even take some life insurance here, as obviously the defense of their T3s is now going to be crucial at most, but it's going to be all that damage. Namu is tanking it. Ratel is here as well. We see that Haku is just putting a bit of aggression onto draw, and the damage is just not enough coming through onto the side of Boom Esports.
But Boom Esports still did a valiant effort in defending their base. So no tier 3 has been taken down coming in for the base here. And you can see Namu very aggressive in his own gameplay, enforcing the positions from the side of Boom Esports. On the flip side, Carl did pick up the Azure Golem from his own base, and he does happily return to defending the base.
Yeah, I mean, Illusion there, man. Like, he's really showing that he's doing damage, right? I mean, it would be less impressive if it was the likes of Danny, Tatsuri, or Carl, who are very squishy heroes. But when you knock Draw down to around about 1/5 health with one couple blades, it's scary.
You know he's farmed up, man. You know he's farmed up. Look at him aggressively throwing out those freshly forged every once or few moments here, chunking out multiple members of Boom Esports. Every freshly forged hit gives more room for NONGSHIM to start crumbling the side lane towers here. The prize right now are these juicy tier 3 towers here. Once these are taken down, the hope for Boom Esports gets diminished instantly.
It does get diminished as well here. It's going to be the full front attack on that top side of the T3 as well. Miggy tries to go for a bit of a saving grace with the flash in, but it looks like more of a bit of a Harry Carry flash as Carl gets taken down as well. The winning strategy is just not hitting hard enough, especially when Namu is the victim.
It's not looking good at all for side of Boom Esports here. Carl being the first one to fall. 4v5 for the next fight, missing out the Truth Mantra here with the minion waves marching in mid and top. This might be the final moments of Boom.
Maybe the final moments of Boom here with the minions going into the crystal here. Is this going to be the door knockup for Miggy? Is that going to be enough to blunder the feet of Boom Esports? But it looks like all that damage from Illusion is going to be only claimed kill here onto Tatsuri, as they're looking to take a 2-0 trade here onto the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. Not quite having enough power in the tank to take the crystal.
That was an amazing setup here coming in from the side of Namu here, finalizing the kill on towards Tatsuri. 20 seconds, minion waves coming in. 3v5, what do you do, Boom?
What do you do, Boom? You try and just go and lay the truth down, but the truth is only hurting if you have the damage, and only the damage coming from Illusion there, as well as Siri is going to be enough here. NONGSHIM REDFORCE, they don't have the minions into the crystal, but they're going to take it. So your grand finalist number 2 is NONGSHIM REDFORCE. Back-to-back
intense games between NONGSHIM REDFORCE and Boom Esports. But in the end, the team that was the last place of Group A climbed all the way up from the second half of the bracket here, advancing, defeating opponents after opponents. It first was DNT, Now it's Boom Esports, and right now they go to the finals to repeat history, facing off against Nova Esports for that rematch from KIS3.
Great performance there from NONGSHIM. Obviously, they got the second win there towards the end of this series. And like you said, history repeats itself. Literally 12 months ago, NONGSHIM REDFORCE dominated Season 3 Invitational and were then at the final hurdle, which was none other than Nova Esports, where they fight again in the same tournament just a year later.
This is just peak storyline, right? For a team like NONGSHIM REDFORCE that did really well in the group stage, now it comes back to the question: did they really did bad on like purpose, or was it like saying like, hey guys, it's group stage, no one really gets knocked off, so let's just experiment with it? And the experiment that they did definitely paid off. From the bottom of Group A, NONGSHIM proves their redemption and hits to the grand final. What a Cinderella story we're looking at.
Exactly, yeah. Group stage, they were all the way at the bottom of Group A to the semifinals, and then just completely riding that momentum from the first quarterfinals match that they had and completely shocked us all. They have continued to roll onto the semifinals, to roll through Boom Esports with a 4-1 fashion, the same fashion that Nova beat Blacklist earlier. So unfortunately for the PKL teams, they only were able to get one win onto the board against their opponents. But for NONGSHIM, they now get to go back and try and prove themselves against NONGSHIM after a year, and with some new faces on their team, as well as Kong Ling on Nova Esports.
I mean, after a year, we're still getting the same finals matchup. The consistency between these two teams is just unrivaled here. So this is the second shot at redemption for the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE. Like you mentioned, right? New team, new players, same results thus far. But whether or not it will end the same scoreline, we don't know. We can only find out tomorrow. And today is a sad day for PKL fans like IKL fans from yesterday, because this is where PKL stops, at top 4 once again in the international stage.
Hey, I mean, they at least get to take the victory of the Women's Series 3, right? Like, that's still a good takeaway for the Philippines, is that they were able to win at least one of the titles today, and it was none other than the first Women's Series of the year, and it was done very well. So at least they have that to soften the blow here. I'm pretty sure they're proud in the audience as well for the Hive All-Stars, but they would have liked to have seen Boom rise to the top and potentially rise to fight Nova for tomorrow. But no, it's going to be the repeat of history. It's NONGSHIM REDFORCE with a 4-1.
If there is a hidden MVP that we need to point towards to, it has to be Rattel here. He opened up so much space, sacrificed so much resource for the team to funnel into the pockets of Siri, Illusion, or Haku, and he was constantly in the faces of Carl and Miggy. And at one point, it's like those two devs, he's like actively saying like, hey, Carl, Miggy, put your spells on me, and the moment you do and I passed out, my players, my teammates are just gonna pile on towards you. And that is exactly what happened in those team fights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they needed on the side of NONGSHIM. As soon as we saw the prio pick of the Ganamo, the Smith and Blade in this match, we knew that they needed to be the solid front line, right? I mean, and Namu, obviously second pick, wasn't quite going to be the enough front line that they needed. So the Arta towards the end there really helped them out. But to be honest, though, you look at Danny once again. Danny really overshadowing everybody else in terms of the damage. 154k, even to his opponents as well. He's literally 40k ahead in terms of damage, but it just wasn't hitting the mark.
Because all the damage was heading in towards the faces of Rattel and Namu that was constantly in the faces of Danny here. He's like, man, I wish I could really go towards the backline to find Siri or Illusion, but Rattel and Namu is constantly in my face and I have no real way of actually doing it. And it goes back to our discussion just now. You have so many carries coming in for a side of Boom Esports. Who's going to be the one giving up the gold? Because if Tsuri has no gold, there's no damage. If Carl has no gold, there's no damage. So it's a bit of a greedy lineup here coming in for Boom Esports, an all or nothing draft.
Oh, very greedy lineup there for them, and it's unfortunately going to be the reason why they lost that game, right? Because they weren't able to perfect or at least place the resources where they needed to be at the right part of that game. But NONGSHIM REDFORCE in this head-to-head, as you can see here, the GPM still does favor the likes of Ratel, even though he's just there to soak and tank the damage. But we look at the point of the roam as well here. Obviously, he kind of played like a secondary roam, getting that 56 vision score as well. You can imagine that Namus is going to be very close because they were always trying to man-mark Carl.
Yeah, like they were just like having the buddy system like Holler likes to talk about it, where you see the Ata, you see the Liam Poe constantly buddying up together, opening up that one specific half map for the team. Like Carl practically had no shot at all to dive deep in towards the backline. He only had opportunities while diving against players like the Ata, players like the Liam Poe. But due to the fact that these two players were always giving vision to Siri and also Illusion, they were having a free roam time for the entirety of this game number 5.
Exactly, and that's a problem, right? Like, if you have two players that are freely roaming and gathering intel, it just makes it harder for these kind of assassin-like heroes like the Con Ming, like the Jing as well, to just have free reign. If you've got two big old blocks, it's just like there's no way of getting in and around onto these team fights. Like, there was only one team fight where we saw Carl really pop off.
Yeah, I mean, Carl, he is definitely a very good Jing player, but in the 5v5, the coordination showcased by the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE is far superior compared to Boom Esports. We saw this back-to-back happen out of these 5 games. The one game that Boom Esports won against NONGSHIM REDFORCE, it wasn't through the standard macro rotations or the map play. It was through brute teamfight wins in Game 2, if I'm not mistaken here. But when the game for the side of NONGSHIM starts pacing down, starts slowing down those mistake angles, Boom Esports found no way to actually break against NONGSHIM REDFORCE.
Yeah, there was unfortunately not. I mean, we was hoping that maybe Draw had some better engages, but there was many times where, especially in towards the early part of the game, when we were talking about obviously the detriment of Boom's mistakes that could really kind of create this big win for NONGSHIM REDFORCE. And after we said that, there was one huge, completely misaimed ultimate from Draw, and then from that point on, it was pretty much all she wrote. But MVP is going to go over to none other than Siri once again, going for the no death run once more for 0-3.
Very clean stuff, I would say, coming in from the Parasolar user himself. That's why in the KML region, a lot of teams would actively ban the early back in 2025 against this specific player, knowing for the fact that he's one of the best in the region. This is the one that you talk about, right? So, Draw forces the play coming in thus far, and you can see the active plays here coming in from Ratel to really single out these big members coming in from the side of Boom Esports.
Exactly, he did very well in obviously just being able to shapeshift around these 5v5s as well, not being able to get caught out, but also just do so much damage, but then also be the decision maker, right? Like anybody on any other team could have been super duper greedy, right? Like we know farm lane players just like to showboat, they like to get the kills, but Siri was just like, no, let's do some irreparable damage, let's completely eradicate their mid lane after this team fight.
Like, this is what we call Mr. Consistent, right? You don't look for the showboating, flashy plays on towards the map. You play to what the play is correctly should be, right? You get the turrets, you make the insufferable damage in irreparable ones, and then you slowly pace yourself to game-winning plays like these few moments.
Exactly, game-winning plays towards the end here. As you see that NONGSHIM confirmed their place into the grand finals, going against Nova Esports. Once again, a year apart, the greatest Red, now known as the Ultimate Red, take on the Supernova.
The coaching staff from the side of NONGSHIM REDFORCE is beyond happy. They were just cheering. They were just like screaming in towards the booth.